welcome to Game 1 in the final round of Day 1, the round of 8, between Beastyqt and Vortix. And we have a Mongol mirror today. Spawning in the north of the map in the color blue, we have Beastyqt playing as the Mongols, spawning in the south of the map in the color red. We have got Vortix as the Mongols. I am Pesti, founder of EGC, and I'm being joined by Lidakor today. Lidakor, what do you think about this map?
Oh boy, it's Highview and Mongols Mirror time once again. This is one of those times where you either see Mongols Mirror, Mongols versus Rus, or Rus versus Rus. It's very rare that you see anything different than that. Both of these players appreciate the power of the Mongols, and that's obvious here, as we do have the OVU on the front for Vortix. Whereas for Beastie, he's got it very close to his town center, as he's already building a stable right next to it. When it comes to Mongol mirrors, the word that comes into your mind is flexibility. Both of these civilizations are capable to do multiple things. Professional scouts play, Dark Age aggression, semi-fast castle, all of those are an option for Mongols. So the most important thing when it comes to a Mongol mirror will be scouting what your opponent is up to, because you need to react to that.
It's quite interesting that we've seen a lot of Mongol mirrors on this map today, and I think the reason is that everyone is banning Rus because everyone's terrified of Rus on this map. So the end result is quite a lot of Mongol play. Personally, I like these Mongol mirrors because as you've said, it's quite diverse and quite a lot of options. It's not one-dimensional where you only see one potential option. So just because we're seeing the same civilization doesn't mean we're going to necessarily see the same kind of gameplay. I see quite a lot of aggression likely in this game. Now, talk a little bit about the players, seeing this is game 1. We've talked about Vortix plenty today, but let's talk a little bit about Beastyqt. So Beastyqt is a very good player. I believe he's Serbian. I'll be corrected if I'm wrong. But he has recently been really racing up the ranked ladder in AoE4, playing very, very well. And likely to be there or thereabouts for a lot of tournaments from now, I reckon, going forward, because very talented, not yet run deep into a tournament, so I know he would very much love to make the final 4 of this event. What do you know about these players, and based on what you've seen from them so far, have you got a prediction for how this is likely to go?
This is very, very difficult because based on tournament experience, as you said, it's Vortix all over the place. On the other hand, very few people have been grinding Age of Empires 4 as much as Beast did. He streams 6, 7, 8 hours of AoE 4 every single day. And I've always been vocal about players that stream performing well in tournaments, because to me it really seems like players that stream usually spend a consistent amount of time playing the game every single day because they are stream. And the other thing is that whenever they stream, they try to interact with the chat. They try to explain what they're doing, and oftentimes that helps their mindset. And whenever they are playing in a tournament, oftentimes they will have that voice in their head, the same voice that they would be using to talk to the chat, like explain yourself what you are doing. And that helps with their reactions a tiny bit. So this is an interesting factor when it comes to streaming players. They are able to have that voice at the back of their head that just tells them what to do next, because this is what they would be telling their chat if they were streaming that.
I love that little bit of insight, Lidakor, and I totally agree. As we see these scouts come in and start bugging the villagers, I think that's a very good insight. And, you know, in a way, live streaming players, it kind of improves their APM, doesn't it? It's just one more thing that they're needing to do when they're streaming. And then when they no longer have to interact with chat or worry about overlays or scenes, and they start playing at a competitive level, they've got this freed up APM, freed up headspace, and they often, people think they overperform in a sense, but they're not really overperforming, they're just performing in competition mode. I think a player we see a lot of that from is Hera. We see these scouts coming in and putting some aggression on. Hera, you know, often hanging around the 20th, 25th on the ranked ladder, and then performing very, very strongly when it comes to big-time competitions, always seemingly making the last 8 or last 4. In the meantime, this is some pretty interesting pressure coming in from Beastyqt here right now. Maybe a little bit of a problem as villagers are coming in to try to defend the Uvu. What are you thinking here? Is Vortix feeling a bit of pressure right now, Lidakor?
I think he does. He wasn't expecting this much army to appear on the battlefield, and you see, with those horsemen out, you can take down villagers and potentially the opponent's scouts quite easily as well. We have a fully garrisoned tower over here for Vortix, and he's still trying to hold on to that Ovu, spending quite a lot of villagers to repair. But behind this one, he is aging up to feudal age, whereas for Beasty, he's also coming up. So I feel like this pressure was nice from Beasty, but ultimately he didn't get that much value for his units. He tried to burn that Ovu down, but he never was able to set it on fire, so he didn't get the bounty for it, and he wasn't able to destroy it. So looked scary, but Vortix's defense was very nice. That tower came in clutch because that tower was able to take down the majority of the units that were scary for that Ovu, and the rest of them just decided to retreat. Now, it should be professional scouts for both, because we still have quite a lot of scouts on the field.
Absolutely. We have seen a bit of a theme with the aggressive players doing very well today, so even sometimes if those bits of aggression don't work out exactly as intended, what they do is certainly cause lost villager seconds, and time is devoted to dealing with that. In saying that, a nice little raid coming in here, talking of lost villager seconds.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful move from Beasty. He just sandwiched that Khan in between the gold mine and his scouts. Just such a tiny detail, but that is something that can be an enormous factor in a mirror matchup, because for 2 minutes, Vortix doesn't have a Khan, so he has no access to the speed arrow, the attack speed arrow, and really, that's a great use of those scouts. Oftentimes, it's an underappreciated fact that the scouts, because they're so cheap, you often have quite a lot of them, so you can get a nice surround, and that's exactly what we have seen Vortix fall a victim of. Now, he's going to be without a Khan, and that's going to hurt.
It's just incredible, and one of those things that really only see at the very top level, where you see the making moves like that. I mean, the APM, the foresight that requires, the tiny advantage that only makes a difference at the pro level. You really love to see that. He also now has managed to get a pretty comparable Master Vortix built up, so looking very, very close here.
I think Beasty wanted to steal some of the hunt here, but Vortix is going to be a little faster. You see, Beasty is still tempted to take whatever is left out here, and that's going to be a nice start once again for him. In general, I feel like Beasty is playing with a ton of confidence right now, and he's probably the one that's ahead by a tiny bit.
I would agree there. It looked like I think Vortix actually only managed to prevent one of those carcasses getting taken, so still really, really nice there from Beastyqt. And yeah, looking in a very nice position. Love to see that little move played on the Khan, and Vortix now managing to find another herd, so he's getting a lot of carcasses back. Probably looks about even overall of the carcasses got, but another big lot located there for Beasty, who's not even taking the ones nearest his base yet, so he's probably going to use his horsemen to try protect the area. Finally, a new Khan does come out there for Vortix, so he'll be pretty relieved about that. Very even looking game. Quite a lot of horsemen now on the field though for Vortix. Beasty might be a little bit behind in that regard.
Absolutely, but Beasty doesn't want to have a lot of horsemen out at this point, because at this point, if he trades off his own horsemen, his opponent will have like 4 or 5 horsemen left. That's not enough to push his economy, and Beasty's aiming for Castle Age over here, and he's ahead in that regard. As you said, now with that Khan on the field, we can safely say that Vortix can't use that speed arrow once again.
Oh. Alright, you get one per stream, Lidakor. One per stream. Oh boy. No, it's not. We don't mind that pun. That's a pretty good pun. We'll take it. In the meantime, a lot of just general skirmishing in the middle of the field right now. Neither player in a decisive position. Very, very close. If you look at that income all around, very, very close. A bit of a food edge for Vortix. Stone, exactly the same. Very close match right now. A nice lot of carcasses coming back there for Vortix. I don't know how many he just picked up, but that is a lot on the back of those scouts.
That's 6. That's the entire patch of huntables here from Beasty's side, so ultimately the two players will have pretty much the same amount of hunt, because Beasty stole, I think, 4 carcasses, and Vortix stole like 6, and it looks like, in the end, all 6 of those carcasses will arrive. But there's a big difference here. We have Beasty already going into castage, and that can be an enormous power spike here because the first couple of Lancers will be able to take down all of those horsemen. And I feel like I don't think that this step reduct is going to be stopped over here by those horsemen in time. It's going to go up.
Yeah, it's definitely going to get up. Now, I wonder if either players might be taking a little look at the relics at some point as they get up to age 3, but Beasty winning the age up to age 3. But how far is he ahead? Can we take a look at Vortix and see how he's thinking about potentially getting up?
He's not very far away, and it looks like we have the Grand Theft Venison, as one specific Turin would say. Great idea, I think, here for Vortix. When you are diving into Steel Hunt, you're almost guaranteed to lose scouts, but when you have this much scouts, it's, I think, around 10 that he started with, he's almost guaranteed to steal 3-4 carcasses, and in fact, it actually became even better. I think it's 6 that he's taken away, but he doesn't have the con nearby, so he won't be able to use the speed arrow, whereas his opponent, Beasty, has the con, so ultimately, some of those scouts will go down. It still will be worth it for Vortix, but it's not going to be as effective as he initially imagined.
Well, he did a really good job there. I don't know if he did that, if that was just unbelievable micro of keeping the carcassless scouts at the back of the pack there, because he lost half the scouts but kept 4 carcasses. So I think he was just trying to hang back with the ones that weren't carrying carcasses to lose them first, which is very, very intelligent play. But yeah, I agree. That was still a very worthwhile trade, getting the 4 carcasses for just a few scouts.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you pointed out the relics before, because that's not something that plays a major role in Mongols mirrors most of the time, simply because you would have to make a separate prayer tent for it. But speaking of that, Beasty decides to go for one. As I said, it's a little unconventional for Mongols to go for a prayer tent this early, because usually they want to spend their wood on production buildings, and that's exactly what you're seeing from Vortix. But in the end, if Beast is able to secure 1 or 2 relics for himself, that can be a nice extra resource income, and that is something that could swing the battle in his favor.
Yeah, definitely agree. It can certainly go either way at this point in the game. You see a sizable score advantage that's been eked out by Beastyqt right now. Probably not something you want to pay too much attention to with a Mongol mirror in particular. Those scores being a little bit sketchy at the best of times, but in particular, not being very reliable when it comes to the Mongolian civilization. Need to see if we're going to have some kind of decisive skirmish go down at some point in the middle of the map. Both players kind of running in and out right now, neither really deciding what they want to do. And we do see a relic now coming into Beastyqt's base. I really like this play. I think it's really nice move. That is going to be very, very useful gold the longer this game goes on.
I can agree with that, as we do have 1 Lancer coming in to harass. Actually, it's more than 1 Lancer, it's 2 Lancers. And Vortix decided to go for a 2-pronged attack over here, push on the left side and also raid on the right side while his opponent isn't looking. And he's slowly grinding down Beasty's economy. So Beasty is already behind by 6 villagers. This gold mine being exposed hurts quite badly for Beasty.
Definitely. Beasty doing his very best to keep repelling these. I think Vortix is probably the one that feels that he wants to, may have to hold on and defend this a bit more. Vortix is the one that wants to probably engage right now. He's got a pretty overwhelming military advantage, and all of a sudden, Beasty's looking a little bit of trouble. That being said, those men-at-arms are doing a good job. Is he going to be able to clean this up? This is pretty close.
I don't think it is. Those Lancers are just the power unit on the field, and I was surprised to see Beasty going for men-at-arms, because his opponent was going for horsemen. So that's a sign that he already has a stable. It's almost a guarantee that Vortix will go for a couple of Lancers, and Beasty just taps out because he knows exactly the front of his base is gone. His step out is going to be used as he has no access to gold, and his lumberjacks were also raided. He went for triple barracks, you could see it at the top of the map, because he wanted to go for some men-at-arms, but he never had enough spearmen or lancers to fight this, and ultimately, the most powerful unit on the battlefield was just the lancer, and that won the game for Vortix.
Wow, look at, I mean, that graph just tells the story of that game, doesn't it? Look how even it is the whole game until just boom, it's so well timed by Vortix. It was Oh wow! I mean, they looked absolutely in sync, and then BC just knew he was beat very, very quickly at the end there. So Vortix showing some more domination. Really, really powerful stuff from him. Beastyqt, he's going to have a chance at redemption, but that was call that one a mulligan. And should we just do game one again? What do you reckon?
This was a weird game, I must say. This was a very, very weird game because, as you said, the two players were head to head, but for whatever reason, Beast decided to go for man at arms, which was just a little weird. Maybe he was expecting a very archer heavy play from his opponent, or alternatively, he was expecting spearmen. So there's a lot of mind games over here. Both players see the scouts and horsemen of the opponent. So both are aware that the opponent is going for cavalry. So Beastie maybe was like, okay, my opponent is going cavalry. I'm gonna make triple barracks, focus on the spearman, mix in some men at arms against my opponent's spearman. But in the end, his opponent went for lancers, and he just didn't have enough spearmen or heavy cavalry to stop them.